Hello, everyone, and welcome to Support Someone Saturday. I'm so excited to be here at the Ruth Project with Tammy McMahan today. She is the executive director, and we are on site. So this is my first on-site interview for Support Someone Saturday, so this is exciting times. And Tammy, how are you today?
I am wonderful. Thanks so much for having me today.
You are welcome. I'm so excited this worked out. So I have to tell you a little bit about Tammy and then how we met. Tammy has been a passionate and joyful disciple of Jesus since childhood, with a deep love for the Lord and all people that has infused her life and her ministry. She is wife to her college best friend, Mark, and mom to 5 grown children. Tammy has poured her hunger and delight into God's word with teaching and writing Bible studies for women and children and families for more than 2 decades. I think that's awesome. And she and her husband, Mark, are foster parents. So she's going to tell you a little bit about that in just a minute. I have to mention that Tammy and I just met online, and we actually have some people in common. So my husband, Eric, and her son, Alex, have been working together, especially since the pandemic. So I have to say, Alex has literally been an answer to prayer. So as everything moved online and virtually with AV3, we were really praying for people that had expertise to help with the streaming and the web design. And so Alex came along, and he has been such a help to Eric and to us at AV3. So we're thankful for your son.
Oh, he has so enjoyed working with you.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's like, it's a small world, right?
It is.
So I wanted to ask you, Tammy, how did the whole idea for the Ruth Project come about? How did it get started?
Well, as you mentioned, I write family inductive Bible studies, and I write those studies for the whole family, from the 4-year-olds all the way up to the high schoolers, and they're leveled age appropriately. And so each of those Bible studies is on one book of the Bible. And a family gather around that book, and they each learn verse by verse about that book. And so while I did Jonah, and I've done 1 Timothy and Peter, in late 15, I did the book of Ruth. And so as the Lord is so good at doing, when you study something deeply, he puts it to practice with you. And so when I did 1 Peter, I thought, oh no, trials. But as I got to Ruth, I thought, oh, this is going to be really simple. But the Lord really impressed on our family, and particularly with me, that he has a deep care for children, specifically for orphans, for widows, and the poor. And so out of that, really a lifelong dream of helping children, after watching Annie when I was younger, came to fruition. He really pressed upon us to become foster parents. So we became foster parents. We really highlighted children that are in a part of sibling groups. There are over 400,000 children in the foster care system. Many of those have siblings, and many of those siblings are torn apart when they go into foster care. So we decided we would foster, and that began almost 5 years ago now. And we have had sibling groups from 4 to 6. We had 6 little boys at one time. So fostering is how it started. And then from that fostering, the Lord has really impressed that we have a huge community of people that would help us when the children came in. But we know that over 75% of parents, after their first year of fostering, they give up. And because there's just such a lack of support. And so because we saw the Lord support us with the body of Christ, that we thought what we would do is start the Ruth Project and come around foster families as they brought in sibling groups. So that's hopefully a long answer to your shorter question.
And that is really awesome. I love the fact that you're keeping the siblings together. I think you mentioned that. They've been through so much trauma, and there's such a need for them to get help, but to stay together with their brothers and sisters. It's so helpful, and I think it's awesome what you're doing. And I think it's so cool that so many things have been birthed through the pandemic.
Yes.
And so even though there's been a lot of hard stuff, right, for all of us, I think a lot of amazing things have come out of this. Obviously, I started Support Someone Saturday, and you're starting this. And so it's just like God is so creative, and he's given us ways to help each other and to help, like you said, the least of these, the orphans, the widows, and the people that are really needing care, like a lot of the marginalized people groups. So I think it's awesome. So tell us more. What is the mission of of the Ruth Project?
Sure. The Ruth Project, the core short sentence, or the elevator talk, would be that we are coming to abundantly care for the children through wrapping our arms around their families that are taking care of them, both in practical ways, so in clothing, supplies, and equipment, but then also in emotional and spiritual support of them through different activities for the families, and then for parents to get some time of respite, as well as having Bible studies and mentoring for them. We have volunteers who will give music lessons and tutor. So it's really to come all around them, put arms around them, and show them the love of Christ through practical and physical, emotional help.
This is so awesome. I love that you're doing both, like not just the physical things that they may need, you know, the belongings and things, but also just that support factor, because I think it's so important. I mean, just in the world we live, and then for all that these people are going through, I think you mentioned maybe 75% of the foster parents give up in the first year. So obviously they need that emotional support, they need that spiritual support, and I think it's so good that you're just doing this holistic, all-encompassing thing, and I think it's amazing. So say someone is watching, maybe they are foster parents, and I even have friends that are becoming foster parents this month, so it's exciting that this is happening right now. What if they want to get involved and get help through the Ruth Project? How would they get that help?
Okay, that's a great question. We are just launching, so mid-March we will begin to send out emails to all of the Illinois DCF agents, caseworkers, and safe families. So if the foster family wants to get involved with the Ruth Project, we can be watching for that. Probably another way is to go on the ruthproject.com. But what we'll be doing is welcoming families to the Ruth Fields, and that's the best way to do it, is to go through the website.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Ruthproject.com?
Yes.
Okay, ruthproject.com. That is so good. So say people are watching and they want to support what you're doing. I know you said you need volunteers.
Yes.
Or maybe they want to donate. I know we talked about needing monthly donations. I know that you said that's really important right now to build that base. So how are ways that people can get involved and support the Ruth Project?
Well, coming alongside us would be just wonderful. There's really 3 ways to do that. The first one would be donations. So we are taking new or slightly new clothing for children newborn all the way through 18 years old. And really, we have a great need for those older kids. It's always fun to get the little people clothing because they're so cute, but we need those clothing for the older kids as well. So donations of new and slightly used, and equipment and supplies as well. So cribs or those twin beds that you want to get rid of as kids get older, we'll need those. So that's the first way. It's a real practical way. And you can check the website and be able to drop off here at the Ruth Project. The second one is volunteers. It is a great opportunity for individuals. We've had families come on a Saturday afternoon and bring all the kids, or small groups to come and spend time here at the Ruth Project. Right now, we are sorting through 225 bags of clothing.
That's amazing.
Yes, and so what we do is we sort them, and they're tagged and barcoded. Our families will not have to pay for anything with the Ruth Project, but we do have an inventory system. So it's kind of neat to get to use the different pieces of equipment to get that all set, so for our boutique. And then the final one that you mentioned, and there are so many ways to help foster families, and sometimes doing fostering is that, but there are a lot of people that can come alongside us in supporting foster families. And it's just a fact with a new ministry that while the donations are helpful, we also need financial donations. And so we are looking for people that are passionate about children and that come and visit. And I would really say come get a tour so you can see about the Ruth Project. But we do need people that will support us on a reoccurring basis. And that doesn't mean a lot of money, but just small donations to help give us a foundation to continue what we're doing.
That totally makes sense. It's so important. And I know it's amazing to hear. And I wanted to ask you this, and I'll let you say, but I want to say, how has COVID-19 affected the organization, which I usually ask, and we know it's been birthed through COVID-19. And Tammy has a pretty amazing story to share of how the community has come around her. So I would love to hear that.
Yes, it's amazing that the Lord has used COVID-19 really to launch this ministry. So many people will say to me, this is when you started fundraising. And yes, the Lord has just blossomed things, and it started with COVID, really. We welcomed into our home 1-year-old triplets. So just a week before everything was shut down for COVID, we welcomed our little girls. And so they came, and as they came, we had a lot of people come in and help support us with that. And it really, you would have thought that maybe that would be when we just paused everything. But that's really not the way that the Lord had led. We had some people that messaged us and said, we know you're thinking about doing the Ruth Project. Why don't you go ahead and start now? And so donations began to come in even before we asked for them. So we really, as a result of COVID, the Lord has just brought in the funding for us to launch. So that's what we've done through COVID. He's also used it as a time for us to have different volunteers to come in under the COVID rules that have been able to serve still, because it's been such a time where everybody's been kind of locked in their homes. But our location has allowed us to do volunteering and fellowship with people as they serve. So it's a unique spot.
So awesome. And I know that you mentioned you needed a certain amount of money to be raised to even renovate. There's a beautiful facility here in Elgin, a storefront, and that it came in. Like even more money than needed within like 3 months. And that's just to me like a miracle.
It is a miracle. The Lord just really, and we say we do it during nap times. You can hear the tagging going on as we're here. I should have said, don't move the closing racks while we're here. I thought maybe if I said it loud enough, they'd hear us. But that means work is happening. And I've almost forgotten what you asked, but
just how the money all came in.
Yes, how the money came in. That's right. He really did. Not only did the money come in for our launching, because there's a lot of equipment and tagging and just things to get ready, those racks that we hear, but also the rent. And we did have one donor that paid for the rent for this year. So that has just been a wonderful blessing. We still have our monthly expenses, and that's what we're trying to raise at this time. What pushed it off on October 23rd is I received a text from someone, actually not even in this state, that said, how much more do you need? I want to write a check. So you can imagine my jumping around that text.
That's so awesome.
But yes, the Lord has provided. He really has, during nap time.
He's just made it clear. You know what they say, he gives provision where there's vision.
That,
so he's totally done that, right?
Yes.
So we pray that continues to happen. So tell us, is there a success story you'd like to share with us about your experience with fostering? I know you said you've had like 22 kids, and this is just kind of launching now here in March. So share with us a success story.
Well, I would say one that comes to my mind immediately is we've had, like you said, 23 different children that have come into our home. And the goal of fostering is reunification. The object is for restoration. And isn't that like the Lord, to be wanting to restore people? And so we had a sibling group of 4 that came into our home. And they came in the middle of the night. They did not have anything. And that is the case for most foster children. If they do come with things, they've had probably about a half an hour or 40 minutes to gather their things. Not into a suitcase like we'd imagine for a trip, but into usually garbage bags. And they're bewildered. So I would say the success stories for us, that as we've watched those children, is for them to come into a home that is loving. You know, it's a whole different world. They're not always excited about that because their norm is acceptable to them, and it's what they know. So coming into our home is seeing the love of Christ. And we had these 4 children come in. Of our 23 children, over 20 of them have been of an age where they could come to know the Lord. And that is what we want. We want them to know the Lord and His agape love that is all-encompassing, and it's their hope. So the children that have been in our home, over 17 of them have come to know the Lord in a personal way. And we know that as they go home into whatever those circumstances might be, or they kind of have to go back into foster care, that the Lord who began a good work will always be with them. And so that's the key. And that's what the Ruth Project is about. It's about coming alongside families that will share that hope with the children. So hope that answered that question.
That is so cool. Just that, people are finding faith in Jesus. Because I think that through this whole pandemic, that's what's sustained us, right? I mean,
Yes.
as Christians, I think for Eric and I, our family, our faith has just grown stronger. And I think that Jesus is the anchor,
Yes.
and he can hold us through the storm. And I think that's the one thing we all need in this life, right? To
Yes.
keep us strong. And so that is such an amazing gift. And obviously we'll spend eternity with him in heaven, but to have his help while we're here on
Yeah.
earth, and to share that with the kids and to share his love, his agape, I love that, his unconditional love. That's so important.
Yes.
Okay, so say someone is watching right now. We have viewers and they want to get connected. Maybe they want to volunteer. Maybe they would like to donate, or maybe they even want to be a monthly sponsor. How can they best connect with you? Can you tell us?
Yes, we are really, we don't have any employees at this time, and we're all volunteer based. So what we've tried to do is make our website where people can go. You can volunteer there, you can donate there, you can go to the area that says support us, and it'll show those 3 areas that I spoke about with the donations and the volunteering and providing financial donations. And there's a beautiful calendar there that shows the different times that you can come and volunteer, and then also shows our need as far as our monthly support. We're right about 40% of our monthly support, so we need about 60% more of people, individuals, families, companies, businesses. Also, which I didn't mention to you, and just reminded me, that we also are looking for different businesses that would want to be able to support the families, and that we can also tell others about and what they do for children.
That's a good idea. I love that concept. I think that K-Love even does that. I just thought about that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, like why not get businesses that want to sponsor? And that's something that, great for your business to do, but then also you could in turn promote the businesses,
Exactly.
So it's like we can all help each other. We were talking a lot about networking before we got on camera,
Yes.
and just how God is bringing the Christian community together. And so how we partner together, we're so much stronger. I know that's Team World Vision's motto, we go farther together, we're stronger together. And so it's so true. I feel like, as we can come together and support what each other is doing, we can just see amazing things happen. So something to think about, maybe being a monthly sponsor, or maybe your business wants to sponsor what they're doing here at the Ruth Project. So
That would be
that's
wonderful.
awesome, Tammy.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you so much for joining us today for Support Someone Saturday. And thank you to all of our viewers for tuning in. We are just so blessed by all of you coming on here and supporting us. If you're interested in helping out at the Ruth Project, either volunteering or making a donation, or if you are a foster family or foster parents out there looking for help, you can get in touch with Tammy through theruthproject.com. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm
You're
very excited to see
welcome.
what the Lord's going to do for
Oh,
everything.
yes, me too. Have a blessed Saturday, everyone.